As a dedicated UPSC aspirant, logging online in the morning means stepping into an absolute avalanche of information. Today alone, you are expected to memorize the age of a 700-year-old tree, clauses of a new defense pact, national school enrollment statistics, and the DNA of a pangolin. An examiner views these daily updates differently. They aren't isolated data points, but interconnected threads of a modern governance strategy. Organizing today's updates into three pillars, security, climate, and society, replaces rote memorization with a framework for analysis. Let's start with our first pillar, strategic and economic security. The 16th India-Japan Annual Summit just wrapped up in New Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi led discussions that reflect a shift in how these two nations cooperate. Historically, Japan's involvement in India centered on development loans and traditional infrastructure, like the Mumbai-Ahmedabad bullet train. Today, the priority list has expanded. The two countries signed a first-of-its-kind defense co-development agreement, alongside pacts to share artificial intelligence research and secure the critical minerals required for high-tech manufacturing. These agreements in AI and minerals power the high-end semiconductors and battery systems needed for maritime surveillance. By securing the tech, they strengthen their joint ability to monitor and deter threats across the Indo-Pacific. For India and Japan, economic security is no longer a separate silo. It is the technological backbone of their joint military posture. Our second pillar moves from geopolitics to the climate ecosystem crisis. The Prime Minister's office held a high-level review of El Niño preparedness, focusing on how delayed monsoon rains threaten the current Kharif summer sowing season. To understand the stakes, look at this line chart from a new joint FAO-WMO report. It shows that as global temperatures cross a 30 degrees Celsius threshold, the yields for staple crops like maize and wheat take a sharp, measurable dive. Concurrently, an OECD report warns that global biofuel production is compounding the problem. Crops like sugarcane and maize are increasingly diverted into ethanol production, forcing fuel to compete directly with human food for agricultural land. This is how climate acts as a threat multiplier. A meteorological anomaly like El Niño cascades downward, resulting in severe food inflation and rural economic distress. Combating a shifting ecosystem demands a shift toward precision. Generalized environmentalism is giving way to data-driven biological conservation. For example, researchers recently used genomics and 19th-century museum DNA to revalidate the Himalayan pangolin, or Manis aurita, as a distinct species. Clarifying its exact genetic identity directly aids wildlife forensics teams tracking illegal scale trafficking. Similarly, scientists applied radiocarbon dating to a banyan tree in Munger, Bihar, proving it is approximately 700 years old. This moves ecological heritage cataloging away from local folklore and into hard, legal science. To house this kind of critical biological data, the government notified Mizoram's Natural History Museum as India's 21st designated repository under the Biological Diversity Act. Establishing accurate taxonomy and securing physical biological repositories are mandatory first steps. Without them, environmental protection laws have no scientific basis to be legally enforced. Our final pillar is data-driven social governance. In public administration, you cannot fix what you do not measure, which is why the Ministry of Education's newly released UDICE Plus and PGI reports are so critical. On the surface, the metrics show strong access improvements. India now has over 14 million schools, more than 10 million teachers, and 99% of schools have basic infrastructure like drinking water. But this split bar chart reveals the hidden gaps. While primary enrollment is high on the left, the right side shows a secondary school retention rate of only 51.9%. We also see a persistent digital divide, with roughly a third of schools still lacking internet access. We see a similar push for granular data from the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, which is preparing to launch a new digital platform called Tribex. Tribex utilizes geographic information systems and artificial intelligence to actively map indigenous knowledge, language, and culture. Modern social justice and human capital development rely entirely on this kind of targeted district-level data to identify marginalized groups that top-down welfare programs miss. Let's lock in the hard facts for your prelims. Remember these 4 testable items. The Himalayan pangolin is Manis aurita and is listed under CITES Appendix 1. UDICE Plus is the National School Education Data System. The 16th India-Japan Summit was held in New Delhi. And Mizoram hosts India's 21st Designated Biodiversity Repository. For the mains examination, the most important takeaway is the necessity of intersectionality in your answers. Look at how these themes intersect in this diagram. You cannot write a comprehensive agricultural policy without incorporating climate models. National security strategy now requires artificial intelligence, and tribal welfare depends on sophisticated data systems to achieve effective governance. While the syllabus categories remain static, success depends on identifying the hidden dependencies between these disciplines.